My plane lands in El Fasher, and I instantly fall 20 years backwards in time. Dirt roads and nameless streets, my earliest memories almost perfectly preserved. My younger cousin tells me to smile. The dog filter over our hijabs makes this easier to do. I tell her how magical it is to feel like we've grown up together, even though I've only known her for 2 years. The phone between us changes what it means to be family as we parse through the wreckage of what was and try to write anew, to see the world through one another's eyes. A few weeks later, the revolution begins. And the same VPN I downloaded to get filters in the Sahara with my cousin is the only thing connecting me to the world outside. They say our lives will never be the same because of technology. I say technology will never be the same because of us. I'm drawing water from a reservoir to help my great aunt with laundry one day. I'm documenting network interruptions across the city the next. You can't know how crucial a viable network is until you've spent an entire generation in isolation. You can't know how powerful an electric grid is until you've marched on a moonless night. You can't know how important a water pump is until you've shut down an entire hospital to dig a well. You can't take an entire country offline and have no one notice. In an attempt to crush the popular uprising, the military issues a media blackout. Days offline turn into months, and still, Blue for Sudan trends worldwide, and still, the revolution is not only televised, but also broadcast, posted, shared, reshared, transmitted. We distribute codes and tips for how to get around network blocks, how to find shelter, how to successfully carry out a nonviolent revolution, how to crowdfund freedom. There is no behind the screen anymore. You can no longer create something without thinking about the people who'll use it. A country stuck 20 years backward in time is catapulted forward at the speed of light, or at least the speed of ideas. In a time more rife with questions than answers, every one of us becomes an answer as we amplify our voices, rectify the record, shape the world one contribution at a time. One machine, one woman, one job, one protest, one meme, one headline at a time. My hands shake as I write, as I sit, as I travel, as we lurch forward, one advancement at a time, each step bringing every one of us closer to our own self-actualization. I think the world becomes itself every time one of us finds fulfillment. I think the world becomes itself each time one of us finds ourselves. I found myself on a screen for the first time in the year 2006 when I saw my great-grandparents' house on a computer, thousands of miles away, as we took a break from the constant pain of genocide to memorize the shape of our city in case it didn't last another day. I never imagined that 12 years later, the dictator would fall. That 12 years later, our voices would be heard. That 12 years later, people would look at high-altitude balloons and think, we could use that. That 12 years later, environmentalists would plant trees with drones. That mothers and daughters would break age-old stereotypes with the touch of an app. That 12 years later, I'd be standing in that same house next to that young woman who shares my face, my smile, my family tree, and a million pictures between when we meet and when we see each other next, our hearts full, on us armed with nothing as we move forward with our phones, our smiles, and our sheer conviction to shape the world better this time around. Thank you.